For more than a week, Powell has been all over conservative media with the following story. This election was stolen by a collection of international leftists who manipulated vote tabulating software in order to flip millions of votes from Donald Trump to Joe Biden. The other day on television, Powell said of Trump that when the fraud is finally uncovered, quote, "I think we'll find he had at least 80 million votes." In other words, rigged software stole about 7 million votes in this election. Here's some of what Powell said today about the software.
One of its most characteristic features is its ability to flip votes. It can set and run an algorithm that probably ran all over the country to take a certain percentage of votes from President Trump and flip them to President Biden, which we might never have uncovered had the votes for President Trump not been so overwhelming in so many of these states that it broke the algorithm that had been plugged into the system. And that's what caused them to have to shut down in the states they shut down in.
That was a few hours ago, but Sidney Powell has been saying similar things for days. On Sunday night, we texted her after watching one of her segments. What Powell was describing would amount to the single greatest crime in American history. Millions of votes stolen in a day. Democracy destroyed. The end of our centuries-old system of self-government. Not a small thing. Now, to be perfectly clear, we did not dismiss any of it. We don't dismiss anything anymore, particularly when it's related to technology. We've talked to too many Silicon Valley whistleblowers. We've seen too much. After 4 years, this may be the single most open-minded show on television. We literally do UFO segments, not because we're crazy or had even been interested in the subject, but because there is evidence that UFOs are real and everyone lies about it. There's evidence that a lot of things that responsible people used to dismiss out of hand as ridiculous are in fact real. And we don't care who mocks it. The louder the Yale Political Science Department and the staff of the Atlantic magazine scream, "conspiracy theory," the more interested we tend to be. That's usually a sign you're over the target. A lot of people with impressive sounding credentials in this country are frauds. They have no idea what they're doing. They're children posing as authorities, and when they're caught, they lie and then they blame you for it. We see that every day. It's the central theme of this show and will continue to be. So that's a long way of saying we took Sidney Powell seriously. We had no intention of fighting with her. We've always respected her work. We simply wanted to see the details. How could you not want to see them? So we invited Sidney Powell on the show. We would have given her the whole hour. We would have given her the entire week, actually, and listened quietly the whole time at rapt attention. That's a big story. But she never sent us any evidence, despite a lot of requests, polite requests, not a page. When we kept pressing, she got angry and told us to stop contacting her. When we checked with others around the Trump campaign, people in positions of authority, they told us Powell has never given them any evidence either, nor did she provide any today at the press conference. Powell did say that electronic voting is dangerous, and she's right. We're with her there. But she never demonstrated that a single actual vote was moved illegitimately by software from one candidate to another. Not one. So why are we telling you this? We're telling you this because it's true. And in the end, that's all that matters. The truth. It's our only hope. It's our best defense.
Do you realize how far into the fringes you have to be for Tucker Carlson to abandon you? For Tucker Carlson to indicate that you're full of it? Because apparently Trump's attorney Sidney Powell just found out. And bear in mind, this isn't me giving Tucker Carlson credit because he may unilaterally be responsible for spreading more disinformation to those on the right than any other person in this country. What this is a referendum on just how off-the-rails delusional Sidney Powell is that even the guy who, by his own admission, spouts off about UFOs isn't buying her story. Well done, Sidney. Now, Powell did eventually respond to this, saying, quote, "Apparently Mr. Carlson missed the news conference today. I would continue to encourage him and all journalists to review all the materials we've provided so far and conduct their own investigations. Evidence continues to pour in, but a 5-minute television hit is not my focus now. Collecting evidence and preparing the case are my top priorities." And this has been the excuse all along, that they have so much evidence, mountains of evidence, but she just can't show anyone. Right. And my girlfriend is an international supermodel, but you can't talk to her right now because she's not at home. She's in Canada. And while we wait for this supposed devastating avalanche of irrefutable evidence, consider what's happened in every other court appearance for the Trump campaign. Out of 31 cases, the Trump team has lost 30 of them. They are literally 1 for 31 in the courts. Because while publicly they might claim to have all the evidence that observers weren't allowed to oversee the counting, or that dead people voted, or that the whole process was rife with fraud, when they have to actually tell the truth in a courtroom, they suddenly change their tune completely. Meaning, quite simply, that when people like Sidney Powell tell you that they've got evidence proving Trump won, they are lying. But hey, maybe you're thinking that you just want to give Powell the benefit of the doubt and hear her out. Sure. Here's what she had to say in her latest press conference.
Here and uncovering more by the day is the massive influence of communist money through Venezuela, Cuba, and likely China in the interference with our elections here in the United States. The Dominion voting systems, the Smartmatic technology software, and the software that goes in other computerized voting systems here as well, not just Dominion, were created in Venezuela at the direction of Hugo Chavez to make sure he never lost an election after one constitutional referendum came out the way he did not want it to come out. We have one very strong witness who has explained how it all works. His affidavit is attached to the pleadings of Lynn Wood in the lawsuit he filed in Georgia. It is a stunning, detailed affidavit because he was with Hugo Chavez while he was being briefed on how it worked.
That Cuba, China, and Venezuela all conspired to interfere in our election through a plot concocted by Hugo Chavez, the president of Venezuela who died in 2013 with the help of his Dominion voting software, all under the cloak of darkness to ensure that Donald Trump would be deprived of a second term. Do I need to say more? The simple fact is this: Sidney Powell can claim whatever she wants. She can allege fraud and switched ballots and even dead foreign leaders enacting plots to overthrow our government, but the burden of proof lies with her. And unless she can actually go ahead and prove it, then she looks like every other tinfoil hat lunatic spouting conspiracy theories they found on the internet. And here's the thing: what Sidney Powell is doing doesn't look good on either side of the aisle. From the left, she obviously looks like the lying grifter that she is, but even on the right, if your earnest goal is to see Trump's claims adjudicated, parading this woman around who keeps promising evidence that has never once managed to materialize is making the entire process look like nothing more than the butt of a bad joke. She's an embarrassment, a point that even Tucker Carlson seems to be able to pick up on, which is weird because I was totally under the impression that Trump only hired the best people. There's also the possibility that she's just cashing in. Here is clearly a job that no one else wants, and while she might not have a snowball's chance in hell of winning any court cases, the only person she has to impress is Donald Trump. So she'll go out there and perform for an audience of one and collect her paycheck, because at the end of the day, remember this: for Republicans, it always comes down to money. So regardless of her reasoning, do yourself a favor and ignore this woman and the circus that she's brought with her. Donald Trump has lost the election, and no matter how hard he tries with these last-minute despotic antics, he's not going to overturn the results of this election. But he'll go down in history for trying to, and Sidney Powell's name will be right there alongside his for doing her best to destroy our democracy. If you like this video, please check out my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, where I take a deep dive into the week's most important stories and interview major players in politics, including Kamala Harris, Katie Porter, Adam Schiff, Nancy Pelosi, Eric Swalwell, Mary Trump, Al Franken, Cory Booker, and many, many more. Again, that's No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, available anywhere you listen to podcasts.